Welcome, guys. It's our test pilot episode of the new podcast for Ahaka Culture Club. We're gonna have a quick round of questions with the members of our club to get to know them better and let you hear what their vision, ideas, and approach on different topics around art and the future of education is. We started with Tony Blackwell.
Hey guys,
And we'll go straight to the question because there's no time to waste.
we don't have any time.
I wanted to ask you if, while being a student, you could swap places with a student from a different department for a week. What department would it be? And what class would you be most excited about and scared of?
Whoa, let me think. All the schools and all the departments in the whole AHK.
To make it easier,
Yes.
yeah, the whole Ahaka.
Okay. Cool. The whole AHK. Jesus. There's so many departments.
It's 6 departments.
It's 6 departments. It's all the AHK academies, and within the AHK academies, you have different educations.
Well, let's just start with the general department. So we have Reinfart, we have Breitner, we have Film Academy, we have Academy van Bouwkunst, and Theater and Dance. That's you represent.
Yes. What? I think I would. And the conservatorium, of course.
Conservatorium.
Obviously, right now I'm kind of doubting between conservatorium and the Breitner Academy. And I'm thinking about the conservatorium because I would really like to play an instrument, and I'm thinking of Breitner because I would really like to be more skilled in painting or like making art, like building a kunst with my hands.
Let's for the sake of the podcast go for the conservatorium. What would be the instrument? You can do it for a week, and let's say you can actually achieve something within a week. What would be your dream instrument?
Guitar, bass, guitar, yeah, or violin. I don't know, or piano. Okay, fine. I'm gonna choose one. Um, violin.
Violin. And what would be the scary part of such a week in your vision of conservatorium?
I think that the way that I carry myself, maybe the way that I am, that doesn't fit within the system of within the culture of the conservatorium and playing the violin. I would also be afraid that the stick would get in my hair the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the second part is probably both easy and difficult to change. But it's the first part says a lot about I think conservatorium. We'll have later a representative of conservatorium so we can address this issue. But in the meantime, we can go to another question. And I would like to ask you if in your head is there a place in Amsterdam that you would like to turn into a campus for AHK? And use your gut feeling. What's the first thing
The
that
first
comes
thing
to
that I'm thinking of is where I live right now. Yeah, so where I live is the old ACTA building, and there's 450 students living there, and there's also ateliers under, there's a whole floor of all these ateliers. So yeah, that's the first thing I'm thinking of.
And how would it look like? Is it a place that is busy, active, noisy, or rather opposite?
Yeah, I guess there would be a division. Like a division. I think there would be like a floor of musicians, and that the rooms are also built on the fact that, like, I have a neighbor and she drums. That's not my next, like, she's not really next to me, but a couple of doors down. And sometimes I hear like a and that's at 11 o'clock at night. And I don't really hear it that hard, but I can imagine that the people that are living right next to her are like, and she should have the freedom to be in her own room where she sleeps and eats, and that she also can play the drums. So like a floor where you have like all these drummers and people making music, and then maybe the floor on top of, I don't know, the theater people, and then the floor on top of that maybe with atelier spaces for the painters and the beeldende kunstenaars. So like every specific floor has its own.
Yeah.
Is designed for the artists that live there.
And if I understand you right, of course, clashing the new campus with an existing residential structure can create some conflicts, people making noise versus people who want to rest. But it is more important to build on something already active instead of creating campus in a completely empty land. Is that why you chose the ACTA building? Because there is already a community and a spark that could light it up.
Yeah, there's already something existing there.
Yeah, I think it's an important guideline, from in choosing the place.
Yeah.
That you don't, you build up on something.
Yeah, of course.
Already works.
Because then the people that already live there can think about how they want to build their community forward. In ACTA, these are students that come to live there, only just, live there, and then they go to school, and then they're artists there, and then they come home again. But I think instead of building something new somewhere where you also take up space, I feel, I'm reading a book on gentrification right now, but take up space of maybe other people that have their community within that neighborhood, that you build on something, that you expand on an existing community that also consists of artists. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was very insightful, and we'll invite another guest. We have Shelly coming up.
Bye, guys.
Hey, Shelly.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good. It's very interesting to talk about it with you guys. I will start with the question. Maybe if you see potential in collaboration between the art school departments, and what would you consider to be the biggest advantage and disadvantage of such crossovers?
The advantage is, I think there are a lot of students that already want to how you say don't want to be stuck in only their own
Field.
Or there are for example people that are really good at dancing, but they are also really good in painting, but they choose to do a dance school, to go to the dance academy. So I think it's nice that you can just collaborate with the other fields and express your other talents, because a lot of people have more talents than only one. So I think that would be an advantage, and also to learn about each other, or about each other's crafts. Um, and get new insights on the existing one you are already doing.
Have you been also has it been also your case that your field of view doesn't narrow down to one discipline, therefore you chose Breitner Academy, which is, from my understanding, more multidisciplinary?
It is not really like the academy is not really a multidisciplinary, but um, in the how you say, like, you have visual art,
Mm-hmm.
but there are different ways to express that. So you can use it through the computer, so like more designing. You can paint, so really use your hands. So there are really different ways to express visual arts. Um, and the Breitner really likes to collaborate. So I think that's nice that they do that. Where did I want to head with my story?
Maybe because I think a lot of people will agree with you and are positively approached to such an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering if we can think of any disadvantages, maybe. Can you think of any threats that such will maybe the destruction of a musician by collaborating would influence it negatively? Do you think such a thing exists?
Well, in my eyes, no. But um, I can I can imagine that working with another discipline can be frightened, or maybe too far from what you already know. So I can imagine that. Um,
Of
but
course, it also costs time.
yeah,
And,
definitely.
and from your own perspective, would you, within your studies that you've been through, replace some of the program in favor for some, for example, collaborating with Film Academy more?
Well, I would love that, but the problem always is that there is no time, or the curriculum is already full, so there is no place to do those kind of samenwerkingen.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, at the Breitner Academy, you have like some project weeks or keuzevakken. And I think maybe at moments like that, you can do the collaborations between the academies. So I think they have to make space inside of the curriculum.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's urgent coming from you.
Yeah.
The gesture, urgency is here.
Yeah.
And then my next question is if you have ever felt misunderstood in your school because of the kind of work you do, and if so, how do you deal with that?
I don't think I was. Well, I think the struggle was more that it is sometimes hard to um, uh, pronounce your of how you say, like, express yourself in the right way. So for example, when we had to when we had our expositions to show what we made, and you have to talk about your work, it's sometimes really hard to find the right words or to have your vision really clear. So yeah, of course you can be verkeerd begrepen, like you can
Wrongly
be
understood,
wrongly
yeah.
understood. But I think when, like, because we already had those back and forward conversations about it as well, so at the end you always were understood right. So I think at our academy that was not really the problem.
And this moment where you felt there is no click, was it for you um, encouraging or discouraging?
I think discouraging, because but then I really speak for myself. I had sometimes that like my communication is not always going really strong. So then when I had my presentation and it didn't went well, and then you get some feedback, I was like, fuck, you know, I
We
don't.
keep the language clear in this point.
Sorry. Shit. Is that allowed?
That's let me say it.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know. I got more insecure about it. But that I think that's really a personal thing. And what sometimes is difficult, that teachers will have another opinion than you have on your work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah, of course everyone has their own preference on something, or like something more than someone else, because we're all different people. But sometimes it's hard that a teacher will have like a really dominant voice or a dominant vision about something, and you will not agree.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I struggle with that I'm like, okay, but then I have to do what the teachers say to get a good grade. Not that we really got grades, but yeah, to pass.
Yeah. So, in your ideal world, this dynamic is rather more equal, and it's a discussion rather than top-down pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
That was really great, and we'll invite our third guest, Marlene.
Yeah. Can I say something already before a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, because we are all listening next to the camera. And Shelley just said something about like the project weeks. There already exist, I think, within the academy. But Tony and I already came up earlier with an idea of a separate art and society program, and we talked Thursday on like should that be in a new building or whatever. But I did a part-time education at the Academy for Theatre and Dance, and then people with all different backgrounds come in. And so a core of the program is that everyone is owner of his own learning process, and you really have to make up for yourself, what do I want to learn? And I think next to what there already is would be really cool if there would be like, for example, an art and society full-time education, which is like fluid between all the existing buildings, and students get trained in, okay, what do you want to learn? And you can follow longer than 1 week classes at the conservatory. Maybe for 1 year you follow N class at the conservatory, and also at the theater, Academy for Theatre and Dance, and also at Bouwkunst, so that you have this longer, and also what you said, ask Tony, for like when you have 1 week at the conservatory, yeah, it's nice, but you only have the beginning of playing the guitar. But I think for a longer musical development next to a theater development, next to a visual art development, would help you become an artist that can express yourself in different ways.
Yeah, I can imagine that, and I think that's the really believable future of what higher education has to be, more personalized. I think we have more and more tools to really make that work, that you can, with just your phone, follow all the different schedules you have to fill in. And I think that makes also more important to have certain universal campus for AHK, since you don't belong to any of the buildings really as a fixed setup. The need for the campus is even more something that also physically defines this universal spot.
But it cannot, because we're used more and more to like work on a flex werkplekken, for example, or like not having a solid building. So I think you can so easily already start with an education just because there are buildings already in where you can come in, and when you teach everyone that they're free to be and in the conservatory and at Bouwkunst and at the Academy for Theatre and Dance.
Yeah, but also we have space like this one here at Marineterrein, and I think it works really great with its universality, and and more initiatives also being open and visible with Makerspace
Yeah.
can also play a huge role.
Yeah, exactly. So that all these places here and also the VR Academy can be used by all these students. That you
Yeah.
also know you can go here because I didn't know this when I was a student.
Yeah, for me it's a very fascinating idea, and I would definitely sign up for studies like this if I had an opportunity. And what would be the three main challenges you would see ahead of that, so we can address them beforehand?
Yeah, so I think because I think you also asked Shelley that you also need to have the old educations, for example. So when you do, yeah, I'm not sure, but when you have a ballet academy or to become a professional ballet dancer, you need to have studied a lot of hours on your ballet. So then maybe there's not a lot of time. So I think first of all you should have and people who want to become that they still can become that. So it should be next to each other. And then I think what I experienced in my education that we're not really used from our elementary school and our high school to create our own learning planning.
Path, yeah.
Because a lot of actually my entire school system was me being told what to do and what I needed to learn and what I needed to know before I could do exam and then get a grade if I knew everything.
Which also makes the step between your educational part of life and professional part of life
Exactly,
very
yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Making the steps,
Yeah,
it
because
is
then
a
there's no
whole
one
difference.
to tell you what to do and no one is waiting for you. And then, there's actually two things. Because one, you need to know how you learn. Do I learn by looking at someone? Do I learn by doing it? Do I learn by listening it while visualizing it? Because there are all these types of learning. And you also need to know in how do I create my learning planning, my POP. Because all my fellow students felt such a wat is enger? Weerstand, resistance towards developing that POP, personal development plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually it should feel cool to think of, okay, what do I want to learn? When do I want to have learned this? And so I think that's that will be the difficulty, that we all come out of a school system that really isn't focused on this.
Yeah.
Well, you have more like vrije scholen or Montessori, but so to get people in that state of mind, to you as an owner of your learning process, and also so planning on when to learn what, I think that will be a challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing that you say, but the fact that you already mention it, I think can help us support people in that. The transition is always difficult, and the more we are able to help people get used to it and take this responsibility gradually, then it's less of a shock when it really happens than when you start working. And what you started with the ballet dancer needing certain amount of hours to become a professional dancer. I don't know the statistics, but probably not all of the ballet students become professional dancers. Probably part of them drift towards different things. So part of them can take extra hours to really dedicate themselves, and there's, I think, a huge group of people that could discover something completely new about ballet if they are given an opportunity.
But then, and there's also now, when you're talking about it, I think also the challenge of all different cultures of the buildings of the AKA and organizational stuff, that, okay, when you have suddenly students that are floating in between all those educations, I can imagine the more conservative educations are like, what? No, you can't be in a ballet class because you didn't have training for already 20 years since you were 4. but that those students are also there, and that's okay. So I think it also asks something of the mindsets of all the people working at the different buildings.
Yeah, definitely. It would be a bold move from teachers, schools, also students, because I reckon there are also conservative students
Yeah.
that wouldn't like
I
to
would
have
like
me.
be very curious how they respond if you would be there in their ballet class, for example.
Yeah.
I'm an architect, but I really want to know how these shapes can like have a connection with buildings, which is really cool. But then I'm curious how they will respond.
Yeah, maybe the crash test is the only way to do it. Dress me as a
I'm just
ballet
picturing you
dancer
now
and
with the-
hope
over
they
the
won't
diagonal.
notice.
Trying to lift these women.
Yeah. Well, the amount of love you gave to that day in the makes me a bit sad, but
No, but this is always stereotypical that I'm doing this. But
no,
yeah, yeah, that's a challenge, I think.
and maybe because you really nicely asked yourself the question that I wanted to ask you, so that's checked off the list. So I'll go more personal and ask you about your most vivid memory from the period of studying at the AHK.
Well, I immediately have to think of Oerol. The end of my first year, your everything comes together at Oerol, and by being literally on an island with your class, which is also just a lot of fun. On a theater festival, so you're seeing like this different kinds of performances, so you get inspired, and you had to put the end result of your whole research process in an artistic product somewhere on the island, and then see that of all your classmates. That was just really cool, and I learned a lot, and I got a lot of insights about me as a maker, as myself, also because of the process before. But so that's also a proof of me that we stay too much in the buildings, in the school buildings, and that teachers are afraid to go outside because all like the organization and all that. But it gives you so much more than staying inside of the same walls.
Well, just clashing it with your public, with reality, with the world, right? Not staying in your own bubble, tapping each other on the back.
But also like these very human things of like having fun with your classmates, and there are also always like several things
Surprises.
will happen or then other than what it will happen at school.
Fantastic. So going to basics, some human basics.
Yeah.
Some
Like having
natural
a naked
things.
swim all together.
There we go.
That does something.
Now I miss it already. Okay, guys.
Okay, now I have to go.
It's a perfect moment to wrap up the first half of our pilot episode, and
we'll get back to you after the break.
Welcome everybody for our second part of the pilot of the Culture Co podcast. We're starting this second part with Roshan and Malou. Roshan, could you tell us why have you started working interdisciplinary? What have you found in that sort of work that attracted you?
Well, it is actually funny that you call it interdisciplinary because I didn't start it intentionally. It just growth out of an interest I have. I have this weird thing that when something is a little bit different, I found it interesting. That is a huge problem in my life in general.
Why is that? Why is that a problem?
Then you're always the weird guy doing weird stuff.
Why is that a problem?
Yeah, it's easier when you do stuff which everybody does. But at a film academy, they had this new VR thing going on. The VR academy was just starting to set up, and students could initiate their own onderzoeksvraag, development question, and at the VR Academy they could do an investigation on that. So I was like, hey, VR, that's funny, you know. You have the glasses, it's strange, it is weird. You can look around, but you could not walk. Now, of course, you have VR in which you can walk. It's like, hey, this is interesting. So from that on, actually, and
What was there in the VR that caught your interest?
because it's a great illusion.
Oh, it's an illusion.
Yes, that is what I found very interesting. Of course, film in general is an illusion, but this was like a next step of an illusion. It's like you come into a different world. It feels real. It almost tastes real. But it's not real. And that mindfuck I really like.
Uh-huh.
I'm a magician as well. Maybe it's
Okay,
coming
that's
from
the illusion.
there. Yeah.
Interesting,
So-
interesting.
And it happens actually very quick because suddenly you are that VR guy who do VR stuff.
So they put you in a frame in the film school, you mean? The
Yeah,
film
yeah.
academy.
I became, pretty well known as that's the dude who does things with VR and on the VR Academy and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I was thinking like, hey, but I do also like do normal film stuff. But and then I heard the term, yeah, you are working interdisciplinary. I was like, oh, that's an interesting word. What does it mean? So yeah, so then I found I was working interdisciplinary, but
Yeah. Do you relate, Malu? Is there any moment that you can look back and feel that something in your regular study was missing?
Yeah, somehow I can relate, but like, and also it's the challenge of trying out new things that are maybe not that common yet. But for me, I always felt an interest for 1,000 things. Like, I'm also interested in VR. I'm creating it, but it's not only VR. Then I wanted to create something four-dimensional in the real life, into space. So it's you don't. It's some for some people it's easy to have a certain focus on creating things. Like, this is what I want to do. I have a passion and I'm only focusing on that one. But for me, I never felt that one thing I could focus on. But I still felt like an intention to create, to design stuff. But what, I didn't know. And then I always found it difficult for me. But it doesn't make me less talented that I don't have that one passion. Do I need that one passion to be a talented artist? Or is it okay to discover new things and just
So you believe it should start already by developing more than one talent?
maybe, I don't know. And I guess everyone is different. So there are people.
I do
with,
relate to your story because when you're good at one thing, then you have that thing. Oh, you're good at that thing, and that's your talent.
Yeah.
So, but what if, like Malu, you do different things and then you're suddenly labeled as untalented because you do a lot instead of doing one thing good.
So do you both believe that it should? You both said that it should be part of the studies then?
Yeah, like we discussed in the first half, and then maybe I agree with Marleen.
Yeah, tell us about
next it.
your vision on this.
Sorry?
Tell us about your own vision on this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things happening in this world, of course, and you have like certain topics that are always going to be relevant. You have talented musicians, you have talented dancers. There will always be buildings that need to be designed, but within those certain pillars, there's a lot of things happening, and I guess it's the point as an art academy to make space to go with that transition very easily. But the bigger the bigger the institute is, the how more difficult it is to be flexible, and you have to be capable of changing all the time, and that's why I think it's nice that we're doing it here, because it's an open space and there's no program yet, so we can design it by ourselves, so we can discuss with all of us, no teachers, we are just like artists together, and discuss what do we need at the moment. We don't need anyone else to from above discussing this for us. Then it will be maybe difficult to change it. But if it stays open, if you have that space to create and think on the spot, that's maybe a solution for.
So you find that space here at the Culture Club?
I think so, yes, and I think it's really nice that we literally have the space to create, that we have the time, or we are able to spend our hours here to not only think about ourselves, but also think on another level, like on a more meta level, like what is art education, what does it mean for us, and what do we need, and also why is it not only important for us, but also for other students that are now part of the AK. So yeah.
What does it mean to you, Roshan, the Culture Club? What does the Culture Club mean to you?
The Culture Club means it's a postgraduate honors program. So it means like I get a place and time to develop my next project. It's like a diving plank. So you go swimming, you go all the way up, and then you go bam and into the water.
And you can dive in the water.
Yeah, and that's the plank. The Culture Club is the plank.
So it's something that pushes you forward.
No, that you have to do yourself. You need to climb the stairs yourself, but at the end.
Yes, of course you have to do that yourself, but you find the resources here.
Yeah, it is like I'm the airplane and the Culture Club is the fuel.
Okay.
But I still need to steer the airplane, but I got a lot of fuel here.
Yes, it's a great metaphor.
So the only thing is, you need to push the right buttons so the fuel is.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes it's trying to find out which button I have to click. There's a lot of, a cockpit. There's a lot of buttons you can click.
Yeah, so
it can be complicated. So
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. In other words, you find that your project can go further by having the support of Culture Club.
Yes. I think I'm pushing the right buttons now.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and that's why we are called the team one, the pilot team. Funny in an airplane metaphor, but the pilot.
The
team,
first crew members.
Yeah, so we can figure out which buttons we should press for the fuel to ignite.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's also nice that we're doing it together, like as a group, without like we have some guidance, but we are also figuring it out itself. And I think it's very important in art education that you have like a community of students, but also with other professionals that like you stimulate each other into doing great things, and that you of course inspire each other, and that's really nice. If we are all coming from different departments and we're throwing our weird talents together, and somehow we're having a nice time and stimulate each other to go further on a personal level, and that's really nice, I think.
So in a way, that's also an invitation for other students to come and see what's going on here.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe create a community yourself. I think that would be really nice to.
Yes, there's also this aspect of community in Culture Club.
I think so, yeah.
It is. It is like it feels like a community.
Why so?
Because we are together alone.
That's
makes
a community indeed, or society.
That's what a community is, right? People who are on their own but together.
Right.
I mean, when you are in your neighborhood, you are living in a community, but everybody has his own house. Everybody is alone in their house together.
Working together, if you are a community, it doesn't necessarily directly means that you have to create something together, but there's in between you have the space for motivation and inspiration,
Yeah.
and that it can help you to develop your own project.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed a community, and the next step is to I don't know to you know.
You know?
Expand the community, perhaps.
No, I don't know to find a place to I don't know be together and
Uh-huh.
you know so.
Is there, just to wrap this up, is there one thing that you can name, one thing for each of you, that you learned because we are an interdisciplinary team, that we have people with different talents, one thing that you learned from the colleagues here that you wouldn't in the school that you've done your studies?
Ooh, yeah, for me definitely it's just doing, and that a lot more is possible than you maybe think at the beginning. If you just try it, if you go for it, that's absolutely something that I more learned here at the Rijnwaard Academy,
Uh-huh.
where I'm from.
And you, Roshan?
Yeah, that's something I learned from colleagues. I learned from you. I think.
Or that you felt that wouldn't happen inside just the film academy?
So okay, that is the fact that you have a different way of looking at life. That's something. It's very hard to point my finger on the hot spot, but it's
Mhm.
like the way what art is and what it can be. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's what I learned from you guys. Like, yeah, it broadens your thing, your vision.
Thanks, Roshan.
Nice.
Well, that's an amazing amazing thing to wrap up. So the Culture Club is a place to create, to discover talents, a place where art is questioned,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and we're going to be here, and we also invite every student of the AHK to come and join us when the corona measures allow so. And yeah, thanks for watching. This was our pilot episode of our podcast, Culture Club.